This time on STV, we're heading to some of my favorite trails. Stick around, it starts after this. STV is brought to you by Zox Helmets, a clear view for every adventure. Ultimax Belts, performance driven, performance proven. And by Best Western Hotels and Resorts. Since the beginning of my career in the snowmobile media, a long time ago now, I've had the privilege to travel some of the best places to go snowmobiling. Some of them obvious, like in the mountains of BC or places like West Yellowstone, but also others you wouldn't necessarily expect to be on a bucket list of places to go ride in. I'm talking about places like Labrador City, Newfoundland, or Yorkton, Saskatchewan, or maybe the polar bear capital of the world, Churchill, Manitoba. Even places like Sioux Lookout way up there in Ontario, and then obviously more mainstream places like Rouyn-Noranda in Quebec, or Bathurst, New Brunswick, or hotspots like Cochrane, Ontario, or Hearst. I can't quite complete the song like Johnny Cash sings, "I've been everywhere," because I haven't yet, but there's still other places I've been to, like Deer Lake, Newfoundland, that after one particular evening partying at the Undertaker's place, I definitely left some brain cells behind there, or another place where I gained some brain cells back after I discovered what sweetbreads were after eating a meal at this crazy lodge in Quebec, Auberge Rovage. I can even put destinations like the Chic-Chocs, Eagle River, Wisconsin, Gimli, Manitoba, Revelstoke, BC, the Gaspé, or Fort McMurray, Alberta on the list of places that I've had the absolute privilege to experience, all because of the snowmobile. The list goes on from there to literally hundreds of places across the snowbelt, every one of them unique and wonderful in their own way. And then there's all the people I've met in these great places as well. Each one of them passionate about snowmobiles and loving the area that they ride in and wanting to show it off to you through video. I can only hope that over the years, the teams that I've been part of in this crazy TV business have been able to tell these stories in such a way to bring out the best snowmobiling has to offer wherever you ride. Now, I'm not going through this list as a way of showing off, but I do admit that I've been blessed to experience winter beauty and the thrill of snowmobiling across Canada, and then more than just a few places in the US as well. No question, I've been enormously lucky to have the chance to do what I do for as long as I have. Snowmobile tourism, traveling to new destinations near or far, is something that seems baked in for a lot of us. And those destinations away or adventures are great when the opportunity is there for us riders, but it's still riding in our home region that keeps the fires lit between big trips. With all the places I've gone, I still like to get home and ride my home trails. There is something enjoyable about knowing a trail system like the back of your hand, or which restaurant has the best club sandwich to go and visit, and then to know exactly where your next fuel stop is going to be. Then there's riding with friends and family when you get to spend the whole Saturday out on tour with no particular destination in mind other than the one loop you really like to do when the weather's nice. Or maybe going out with your buddies for a Thursday night rip to the local wing place for a pound or two of really hot wings. Then not wanting to leave before you go to the bathroom to avoid that trailside emergency? Them hot wings, they can hit hard and fast. I don't do that anymore. For me, I'm also still super lucky to basically live a few hundred feet from the closest trail, which is a dynamic that's unfortunately changing in the snowmobile world as well. But for now, this allows me access to the trails where I live in the Ottawa Valley region of Eastern Ontario. I'm a quick trip to places like Calibogie or Dacre, and if we're feeling a bit more ambitious, we can point the skis towards Pembroke.
Yeah, well, snowmobiling is really important here in the Ottawa Valley. We're really fortunate just because we're located so close to the Ottawa River that when weather systems come through, we're picking up all that precipitation and snow from the river. So while you can see the snow melting in the eastern southern portions of the province, the further kind of northwest you go in the Ottawa Valley, you're going to be guaranteed riding conditions sometimes late March, early April. So we're really fortunate to have that snowpack.
The terrain in District 6 is mixed bush, fairly hilly. We have a combination of some, especially in the eastern part of the district, we have a little bit of field, railway bed, but for the most part it's like what you're seeing here. We've got the mixed bush and lots of hills, lots of twists and turns that make it fun, but then some more open trail as well. So on a cold, windy day like today, it's nice to be in the bush and amongst the trees. And I think having railway bed and logging roads really allows us to have that extended season.
Heading to this valley lumber town is a decent hit back and forth from home to do in a day, so this ride can often turn into an overnight or even two at the Best Western on the edge of town. From there, the trails are awesome, and they're also a little out of the way and off the beaten path, but that means there's also very little traffic.
Because we're a little bit of an outlying area, we sometimes, our grooming crews on the weekends complain of busyness, but it's all relative. Very, very quiet on the trails during the week, and the weekends see a bit of a step up in busyness, but still very spread out. There's such a large area with a huge volume of trails that traffic can be spread out all across.
Pembroke is also one of the bigger places to stop into if you're making your way around one of the classic Ontario adventures, the Wrap Tour or Round Algonquin Park Tour. Snow has been a little sketchy on the western side of the park lately, but snow can usually be found both early and late in the seasons above the park in places like Ralston and Mattawa, both accessible from Pembroke.
The Mattawa, Bonfield, North Bay clubs support a tour, just a local tour on club trails with 10 different stops along the way. The mica mine, which is a unique feature. There's a lookout in Redbridge, there's a lookout in off the Bonfield club trails. That's all an attraction to, we call it the Explorer's Loop Tour, but there's 10 different attractions along the way that you could basically spend a day ride and take in all of these attractions.
South of the park takes you to places like Haliburton and Bancroft. Now, these are a little outside my home turf, being so far west of the Ottawa Valley, but still places I consider accessible trails when leaving from home on our own little snowmobile adventures with our riding group.
Tourism in Haliburton County, Haliburton Highlands in general, is very supportive of each other. We help each other in aspects of whether there's availability or what trails are open, what trails aren't open. No boring trails in this area, no matter what kind of trail system that you're on, because of it being part of the Canadian Shield. You're rolling and you're diving and up and down and around. So we certainly get a surplus of snow in our area, and we are only 45 minutes at most to Algonquin Park. We're also close to Haliburton Forest and Wildlife. Wildlife, which offers a very intimate trail system, and you can't go wrong in the sense that they always have the trails open throughout the winter time period.
So the trails here at Haliburton Forest are on private property, so you don't necessarily need an OFSC pass, but you do need, valid ownership and insurance. Everything you would need on an OFSC trail you need. So we have over 400 kilometers of trails. We have over 100 lakes on the property. We don't stake all of them. We stake 6 or 7. But we range from what we call our main trails, which are all gravel roads in the summer. So that's why we're able to open up a bit earlier, is we can get out there with minimal snow, pack those down, groom them, get people out. And then as the season goes, as we get more snow, we can open up our secondary trails. And then we have our single track trails, which are my favorite. So you go down and, they're as wide as your sled, a little bit more technical, twisty and turny, but they always bring you to these stunning destinations like the Gorge or the Powderhorn, which is this massive marshland. So so there's lots of varying degrees of difficulty. Yeah.
Now it's nice to plan big trips to faraway places, and I'm definitely an advocate for snowmobile tourism for sure, because basically it puts food on my table in the wintertime, but don't forget about what opportunities might be right in your own backyard. This segment is brought to you by Best Western. In my estimation, snowmobiling is about 40% the ride and 60% who you're riding with. It's the friends you travel with and the new friends you meet along the way that make this such a great wintertime lifestyle. It never ceases to amaze me that our STV team can arrive in a new location, any one of the locations I mentioned earlier in the show, and almost instantly bond with the people we meet. The common thread of snowmobiling is a strong one, which makes conversations flow and turns new acquaintances into fast friends at astonishing speed. It really doesn't matter where you travel to. This is just part of snowmobiling and a fact of the lifestyle, and one of the main reasons we all do what we do. Everywhere I travel to as well, it's almost the same dynamic in a riding group too, which is the same dynamic I have when riding at home. Now, degrees of passion do vary within the group, but there's always that one person that pulls a group of friends and family together. Now, sometimes it could be a club or a clubhouse, and sometimes maybe it's just a group that likes to meet along the trail somewhere, like at a restaurant. And then sometimes, and it's usually the case, there's an individual through their personality pulls people together in a place like a heated home garage. Now, I'm sure you're thinking of that fella or fellette right now, someone in your riding group or community who is always willing to go for a rip after work or offer up some advice on tuning your sled or making your suspension work better, and then will have the tool and the knowledge and will make the time to help you out when your sled is broke down and you need a hand. These folks should be given a reward for their dedication, but they probably wouldn't take it as just who they are. So instead of an award, I wanted to profile someone who fits this description, and I connected with a fella by the name of Stick, who lives relatively close to me just south of Ottawa along the mighty Reeder River, not far from Kemptville. The connection comes from Brent, the fella behind the camera making all the moving pictures you see on STV. When he's in town staying at his buddy Jesse's place, they often find themselves in the evening in Stick's garage, talking sleds and enjoying an adult beverage. And he's told me many times that I needed to check out the scene here in his shop. Now, even though it turns out we know many of the same people, not only in the snowmobile community around here, but in the region in general, we've never met and I've never been to his garage before. But right away, I knew we'd be buddies, even though he rides a cat. This segment is brought to you by Yamaha. All right, Stick, so let's start with the obvious question. Stick, where's that come from?
Oh, a long time ago.
So elaborate, tell us.
Oh, I was very, very skinny. And somebody gave me the handle and it has stuck.
tell me about this place. This is pretty cool in here. You're obviously an Arctic Cat fan, and you know you're a true Arctic Cat guy because your sled's behind me here with the engine pulled out of it because it's blown up. Sorry, Arctic Cat cars. Had to get that one in early, but talk to me about the shop. How long have you been here, and kind of what happens in here on an evening or a weekly basis with you guys snowmobiling?
Well, in snowmobile season, it's usually headquarters before we go for our rides. Friday night tends to be the big night for organizing our Saturday ride, and away we go on Saturday. Who knows where we're going, but usually it's a good destination.
And I mean, you got a bunch of people that normally come in here, and what are you guys talking about? I mean, you're organizing your rides, but obviously you're pretty well equipped. I mean, you can work on anything that you got in here.
Oh yes, we are pretty good at breaking them and fixing them.
Well,
part of it.
You have to be if you're an Arctic Cat rider. I did it
again.
Did it again. That's going to come. It's going to be a theme. It's going to keep on coming.
All right. It's all right. We're used to it.
Oh, you should be. You're an Arctic Cat rider. I do want to talk about this sled here that's behind me that seems to be down a hole. What's going on back here? As an Arctic Cat rider.
Just freshening it up. Had a bit of an issue on an idle there that didn't go well, and yeah, we're getting some parts to it. Not quite sure yet what the exact remedy is. Well, I do. It's parts. That's going to fix it.
Well, it definitely destroyed the top of the piston. I think it sucked something in, but again, snowmobiling, I mean, the community around snowmobiling, no matter where you are and what community you're in, there's always somebody around to help you out. And where can you go from here on a snowmobile? I mean, it is the OFSC trail is not far, so what's sort of a typical ride day for you guys when you're leaving from here at the shop?
If we were to head out, we got a clubhouse in Kempville. Usually they can pull a breakfast or a lunch, soup. From there, Calabogee's a long stretch, but it's been done. North Gore, the Marlborough for lunch, and we carry on from there. It can go all day, it can go all night, you never know.
What's sort of your favorite thing about snowmobiling? Is it the snowmobile ride itself, or is it the community that is developed around snowmobiling, or is it, you know, hanging out here on a Friday night with a group of friends and family and just kind of having fun, enjoying doing what we're doing really right now?
Yeah, well, to be quite honest, we do enjoy our Friday nights. The boys would love to hear that, because all we talk about on Friday nights is snowmobile, depending on what the season is, doesn't matter. But getting out with the boys and going snowmobiling, like, there's not many things that are better. There's lots of things you can do, but you know, put a dozen lads on snowmobiles and away you go. There's not much things that are better.
It is pretty good. It is pretty good. Now, with last season being what it was, with very little snow and not, I mean, how many people do you know that never even really rode at all? I mean, I know people that bought new sleds, parked them, and still have them as brand new sleds. They never even got them from the dealership. What are your goals for this season, other than just to ride? What do you?
Well, we're gonna ride. Like, if we don't have it here, we get a winter like that again, then we're trailering. We've got too many friends with new sleds, and we're not gonna sit around. We're gonna.
Now you got to go to where the
2,000 or 3,000 miles is what our game plan was every year, and it's been that way for many years.
Yeah. Like, what about other stuff? What's sort of your snowmobiling dreams when you get your Arctic Cat back together and assuming it's gonna run? Like, where do you want to go?
Oh, just miles on the trail. Last winter didn't do us much good. So
no,
you know.
I bet, I know, because I did the same thing. I bet you guys spent a lot of time in here last winter wondering where the snow was going to be, because there was nothing down here.
You want to talk about a lot of unhappy lads. Well, hoping to get my son back on the trail there. Snowmobiling with him was something beauty. Kid can ride. He can come out on these rallies and the memorial rides and that, and spank all my buddies that have been riding with me for 20 years, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I just clapped out 700. It was just...
Proud dad moment?
Oh yeah, and
we just won't tell him that.
No, can't tell him any of that. And you know, he's been riding with me, like he was telling you earlier. He's been on the back since I told him he was too big in the front because his helmet was hitting mine. So hold on, kid, let's go.
Now, we've talked a lot tonight, before this conversation with the TV cameras rolling and just sort of chatting in the shop here with a few people in here. One of the favorite things that I've got with snowmobiling is I love snowmobiling, I love going out and riding, but it's this that is probably my favorite
part
thing.
of it.
I think we know a lot of people in common, but I think this is the first time we've ever really had a chance to sit down. But it's amazing how snowmobiling, that like-minded activity can bring people together. I think that is my favorite thing about snowmobiling, and I think I'm getting the vibe from this garage and the people that are coming in here to hang out on a Friday night. This can be what snowmobiling is all about. So no matter if you've got a new sled or an old sled, or if the snow conditions are great, or if they're crappy like last year, to be able to get together in somebody's shop and just chat snowmobiles for an evening and hang out and have a place to go, I think that's the best part about snowmobiling for me. Cheers, man. This segment is brought to you by Zox Helmets. Looking back on the evening at Stick's place, that experience was almost as enjoyable as getting to ride in some exotic, faraway trail system. Like I said earlier, snowmobiling is a community of people who enjoy this crazy winter pastime, and it's folk like Stick, who are not part of the industry of snowmobiling, meaning they're not paid by a manufacturer, they're not part of the aftermarket or tourism, and are not the typical guests we have here on STV. Instead, he's just a regular guy that loves everything about sleds and pulls people together to share his passion. I, for one, am happy to bring a guy like that onto STV. Till then, happy brapping. STV has been brought to you by Yamaha, revs your heart. The Toronto International Snowmobile, ATV, and Powersports Show. And by OSMMag.com, your digital source for everything snowmobiles. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what you've seen, please hit that like and subscribe button.